Hey guys, welcome back. So today I am going to do a reaction. I am going to be reacting to Dr. Mike reacting to Family by the Ton. I initially started to watch this because John over on Obese to Beast was watching it, and my daughter and I sat down to watch it, and the first 30 seconds of Dr. Mike talking, I paused and I started to explain my experience being a morbidly obese woman and relating it to the video. And my daughter said, "Mom, don't watch it. You need to react to it." So that's what we're doing today. We're going to react to this reaction.
We're at a critical stage here.
Yeah.
You're gonna die pretty soon.
Today, we're watching Family by the Ton. I'm not gonna lie, not a huge fan of the title, but let's see what the show has to offer and learn something along in the process. Let's get started.
I would just eat until I'm dead, probably. A normal day for me is wake up around 12, figure out something I'm gonna eat immediately. TV, video games, bed.
So it's interesting that you see him drying himself off with the towel in that specific way. When you have excess.
Okay, so this is where I first started really relating to this man. So obviously he's much bigger than I was, but let me tell you what I would do. I had 3 towels. When you're that big, you can't find a towel that will wrap completely around you. So I had one on my hair, and then I would take one. At the time I joked about my bra size being a 34 long. Well, at that time it was probably more like a 44 long, because my breasts were very pendulous. I had had 3 children and gained all that weight. So I would take another towel, tuck them up under my breast. The 3rd towel went up underneath my overhang of my stomach. And then I would dry off as good as I could. And then I would stand up, bend over, get the image in your head, bend over, blow dry it, get clinical strength deodorant, put it everywhere where there were folds, and then put Gold Bond powder on it, because you do not want to get an infection in these skin folds. It'll kill you.
Of body weight and you have excess skin, excess fat tissue, you have to be really thorough about drying yourself, because it's really easy for a candida infection to begin, and as a result you can get really bad redness, irritation of the skin. It can then become a full-on cellulitis where bacterial infection sets in. So it's really important to dry skin folds in order to decrease the likelihood of this happening.
I never would have thought at 34 I'd be living with my father and I'd have no job, have no real money, and just be playing video games all day and eating.
When you're trying to address someone's situation where they're morbidly obese, you have to look at the patient as a whole. You have to look at what are the reasons that contributed to this.
So I tell everyone, anyone who asks me, how did you lose the weight, or what can you, and if they're morbidly obese like I was, what can you guide me? What's your big recommendation? Because everybody wants me to tell them that, you know, I drink lemon juice and cayenne pepper and I lost 100 pounds in a month, you know. Get into therapy. There is a reason why you have eaten yourself to this state. It's not because you like potato chips. You are using it as a coping mechanism, a poor one, and it's killing you. And you need to find a good therapist who can help you deal with that. And I'm telling you, that's the only way you're going to be successful long term.
Occurring. What can you do in order to prevent it from recurring? Look at triggers, look at mental health factors, look at sleep schedules, daily activities. Like in general, I'm not against gaming. I love gaming. I consider myself.
This whole him sitting in bed all day gaming, he's not expecting anything of himself. And so, and then his father, I feel, I've seen a couple episodes of this. There's a lot of enabling going on. But, yeah, you have to get it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. Oh.
A gamer. But there are times when we can take something that can be potentially beneficial and make it into something that it's not. And this can happen with anything. I mean, it's really the dose decides the poison. So having an unhealthy relationship with food, with gaming, all of this can contribute to this ultimate unhealthy lifestyle, which will ultimately decrease lifespan and decrease quality of life. And that quality of life is real.
My doctor told me that I'd be dead by 30 if I didn't lose the weight.
Really what I like to focus on. Because yes, we want to extend lifespan, we want patients to live a long life, but at the same time, I want them to live that life comfortably. I don't want them to be in pain. I don't want them to be in mental anguish because they don't feel like they're connecting.
This is rare because doctors will not look at the whole patient. They'll say, you know, that just doesn't happen. I could do a video series about my crappy experiences with doctors. I have a really phenomenal primary care provider now that I love, and we have a great rapport, and I consider him a friend now, and I've gotten really lucky. But most doctors are not like Dr. Mike, talking like this and saying that they want to look at the whole patient and like, I don't want them to be in pain. They don't, either that or you have the extreme and they over medicate people like this. And I think sometimes the thought is they don't have a life anyway. They're just in bed anyway. What does it matter? And unfortunately, there's a lot of cynicism with
the outside world, and that's what a good doctor, nutritionist, or like I said, any other health professional looks at when addressing these types of problems.
Hey, so I got your food.
Okay.
He'll tell me what to get him, and I come right back a lot of times in case that's too much food. But I'll get it for him and bring it to the house and put it right in front of him.
I don't want to.
If you don't do this, don't.
Call him an enabler, but I mean, sometimes that's really the way, like, it seems that it is. I'm not buying
4
the groceries.
burgers.
I'm not buying the frozen pizzas. I'm not buying the chicken wings. There's someone.
What? I'd be interested to hear his dad talk about it, because I'd be willing to bet that if his dad didn't buy all those things, he would be having a toddler-esque fit over not getting what he wanted. Yeah.
Facilitating the food coming in, and it's not me.
I mean, there's partial truth in that. I don't think that's a valid excuse for someone to make. If my patient told me, hey, look, it's not about me, I'm not the one doing the shopping. At the end of the day, there's a level of personal responsibility involved in all this, but to solely place the blame at the foot of others is not a healthy pattern. Not because it's right or wrong, but because it takes away control from you. And when you take away control from you, you actually create more of a problem where you feel like you're helpless, you have to do it.
Hand me my water, please.
And there's nothing you can do to change it. When that is not, in fact, reality, there are things you can do to change it. There are conversations to be had with your quote-unquote enablers, because the foods that are being consumed are A, unhealthy foods, B, there's salt being added to already very salty foods. The portion sizes are tremendous. And I saw the father mention tea. That tea has so much excess calories from the added refined sugars. Like, that's even worse than eating a huge amount of food, because at least when you eat the food, you can feel satiated and there's some fun.
It hurts me to see him. Do you see how he's sitting with his legs kind of splayed out? I've seen people in other shows where they get stuck like that. Wow. And then he's sitting there naked because you get that big and it's hard to find clothes that are comfortable or big enough. And then his dad, I mean, it's easy for me to say I wouldn't bring it in, but I'd like to think I wouldn't bring it in. And to me too, yes, Dr. Mike is right. This guy absolutely has a level of responsibility here, personal responsibility. I absolutely it makes me really sad. This is really sad. This is so extreme.
Fiber and other nutrients in there, but when you're just drinking sugar water, which is essentially what a lot of these sweet teas are, in mega amounts, you're just adding weight.
So I bathe outside of this trough currently because I cannot physically bathe in a sit-down bathtub or stand-up shower area. Because I'm a bigger guy with like folds and flaps, I have to move around like almost like a pig in a way, and wallow and roll over to get like the back of my leg. I have to lift up literal like pieces of skin. It's just a super difficult process.
There's a lot of adjustments that are needed to be made in someone's home when they are of this excessive weight. There's also adjustments that need to be made in the hospital. I've had patients who are morbidly obese who unfortunately did not fit in our CAT scan machines and our MRI machines. And in those scenarios, you try and look.
I've heard a lot of people who, I've seen TED Talks of different body positive influencers, and they talk about that. And there's, you know, there's a few YouTubers I've watched where same problem, they were too big to fit in machines. And that's scary to me, where you can't get the care you need because you're too big for diagnostics. That's very scary.
Look at the facilities around you if there's an option to transfer the patient, that someone does have a larger piece of equipment. And then there's sometimes been situations where we literally have to contact our local zoo who have really large machinery for some of their larger animals, and we use those. It's not a pleasant
More
conversation to
dehumanizing.
have with
We're gonna
patients,
take
but
you
it
to
goes
the
to
zoo.
show how there's a lot that needs to be done in order to make sure that we're keeping folks like this healthy.
This is an icebreaker. We do have to take your weight first.
This is coming. When I weigh myself in my house, I do it butt naked, just use the bathroom, number one, number two. And I've like tried to throw up the last meal I ate so I can lose any pounds. Now I'm there wearing clothes. I'm kicking off my flip-flops, anything I can get off of my body to lower the number, because I know it's going to be shockingly big.
It's 711.8.
Now, I know some bariatric offices that try and save this step for later in the visit. Reason being is, whether this patient is approximately 500, 600, 700 pounds, we know that there's going to be a benefit to doing the procedure. So we can already lead with that assumption. A lot of times it's traumatic to step on this scale and look at the number. So we try and...
I, to this day, get horrible anxiety when I go to the doctor. And I'm at the doctor at least once a month. If I have to see special, I mean, the other day, every doctor wanted to weigh me, and I was like, I've been weighed twice today. Why are you torturing me? And even I got sick a few years ago, and I got down to, I was in the 120s. I was very, very sickly. And I still had that anxiety. So it never goes away. So I feel bad for this. I feel horrible for him. I feel really horrible for him.
Perhaps save it for not the first thing you do when you walk into the office, because that alone can cause people to not want to come in to see the doctor in the first place.
We're at a critical stage here.
Yeah.
You're going to die pretty soon unless something happens here.
Now, I know that's
And you need a doctor who's going to tell it like it is to you and not candy coat things and hold your hand and it's going to be okay. It might not be okay. He could die on the table because of his size. Just that, I mean, he could throw a clot tonight in bed and die. So it's critical.
Now, I know that's jarring to hear. I understand why. I agree with this approach. I think this is the most successful approach because it's honest. Whether you have a patient who's morbidly obese and is over 700 pounds, or you're recommending a do not resuscitate order for a family member. Those are difficult conversations. The truest, most honest, non-judgmental way you could deliver that news is going to be the most successful way you could deliver that news.
With you, the route we're going to go down towards is a sleeve gastrectomy.
Okay.
All right? So this is your stomach.
I gotcha.
All right? What we're going to do is we're going to go in and we're going to remove this outer portion of your stomach right here. There will be a metabolic switch that gets flipped in your body when you have this surgery. Your body will want to lose weight.
Yeah. When Dr. Proctor was going over to surgery, it was pretty scary, only because I fear surgery in general.
Understandable that he's apprehensive.
There's another thing that happens with a lot of people who are considering weight loss surgery. Many of them will keep telling themselves, number one, I'm not that bad. Number two, they're now going to lose their drug of choice because they can't eat in the mass quantities that they used to. So they don't have their coping mechanism, and that scares the hell out of them. So think of an alcoholic or it's somebody who's addicted to anything, heroin, anything. And then you tell them, okay, we're going to take this away from you. It's, yeah, of course you're going to get healthier. It's going to be better. But that scares them. That's their crutch. It's all scary.
Surgery comes with legitimate risks, even if it's bariatric surgery. That being said, being 700 plus pounds carries way more risks than the surgery. And that's how we decide whether or not a procedure, a medication, a treatment is good for a patient.
Why don't you tell me, what does a normal day of eating look like for you prior to when you saw Dr. Proctor?
So like, we're waking up at like 12.
Okay.
and then probably ordering food from the hot dog house.
What do you usually order?
On like a normal day, it might be like 20 wings or like 10 tenders, and then it would be like a small order of tater tots and a large sweet tea.
This size cup?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're doing 32 ounces of sweet tea.
My lunches were either a taco salad or like tacos.
Okay.
But it was, you know, not a lot of sour cream.
And then
the
were you
rest of the
having
day,
dinner?
It could be anything from like a big thing of fried chicken or pizza. We'd have like, not occasionally, but sometimes.
So Dr. Proctor wants you to lose 60 pounds by the time he sees you next.
The reason why all of these guidelines are in place about having patients lose a certain amount of weight before the surgery, having them see a psychologist, running blood tests, is you want to set the patient up for success. If we just willy-nilly did bariatric surgeries on everybody who is obese, it would be problematic.
It would be problematic. And then I also think number one, I think you should do psychological testing on people wanting to have this, because they have to be, why do they want to do it, and are they ready to change, and figure out why, if they don't already know, figure out why they are doing this to themselves. And there's a lot of things that can be found in the preoperative testing. It's not just blood work. I mean, they do EKGs. There might be other specialized testing that a doctor might request specific to the patient.
Because what happens is when you do the surgery, there's very specific protocol you have to follow. If you overeat with a smaller stomach, you can actually cause surgical issues. You can rupture your stomach. You can cause vomiting. It can cause mental havoc. It can lead you to going into a dark depression. We really try and select our patients that we think are going to have the best outcome from the bariatric surgery instead of just recommending it for all.
So I've hired a personal trainer for the first time in my life.
Yes, I love it.
This is the first time I've been to the gym in a long time, and I am a little bit nervous. Hey, what's up, man?
Casey, right?
Yeah. Dex?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
When I watch programs like this on TLC, my one issue that I have is a lot of this is not reality for most Americans. I don't want someone who is potentially wanting to lose weight to look at this and think that unless I have this.
I will add to this. The first 100 pounds, I've lost weight twice. And that, again, I have a lot of good life stories. I have been on bed rest and been able to lose 100 pounds in 5 months, and it was only diet. I was on bed. I had 2 broken feet at the time. So you can figure out what your maintenance calories are and what it's going to take for you to lose weight no matter what. And truly, exercise is great. You want to do that because you want to tone, you want to add muscle, because as you know, the more muscle you have when you're just sitting there watching TV, you're burning more calories than if you're more fat. So he's right, but I would say 85 to 90% of weight loss is your diet. So you're going to do so much more, you're going to have so much more progress than if you just exercise alone and don't pay attention to your diet. Diet's everything.
I can't lose weight. It's not true. You don't need the diesel personal trainer in order to lose the weight. Any kind of physical activity when you're going from 0 will help. Also, being kind to yourself and not pushing yourself too hard in the beginning.
You can also find everything on YouTube for free. You can type in chair aerobics and find something you can do. So I agree with them.
Is also really important. With someone who is 700 plus pounds, you really want to make sure that you're focusing on injury prevention. It's very easy to overload joints, to pull and hurt muscles, and as a result, you can set someone back. So it's really about starting slow.
We're gonna do arm rotations.
Okay,
15 each way.
all right, I got you.
Good.
Makes me happy to see him doing this, though.
I had Casey move his own body weight so he can establish a correlation between what he's accomplished already and what he can expect himself to do in the future.
See, like someone might look at that and say, that's not exercise.
Yes,
Yes, it is.
is.
His heart rate's going up, his breathing rate's going up. This all automatically kicks up the metabolism, helps him prepare to meet the challenge. And he's been sedentary. You can't push too hard too fast. You can put too much strain on the heart and even cause a heart attack. There's actually a type of heart attack called a type 2 myocardial infarction that happens as a result of not a pure blockage, but simply because there was so much strain on the heart that there wasn't enough circulation going that actual damage has occurred.
It's been 3 months since my surgery, and I feel good.
So we had the surgery.
little things are changing in me that I didn't really
Did y'all
expect
see?
to change so quickly.
got
As I accomplish more, my
neck.
self-esteem
I mean,
is
I don't mean
rising,
that bad.
so
Like,
I feel
I'm
like I
so
can
excited
do
for him.
more. So it's just
And he's
a good
tying his
feeling.
own shoe. Do you know what I just ruined the intro of his entrance? Tying your own shoe sometimes. I couldn't do what he did just now, where he was able to bring his foot to his knee and tie it. I would take a deep breath, and I'd bend down and tie my shoe as fast as I could, and then I'd sit back up, catch my breath, and then do the other one. So I'm impressed.
Started this journey at
186
711 pounds, and today I'm happy to say that I'm 525.
I think it's great when you start seeing your goals pan out, and that's how motivation happens. It's seeing your hard work be paid off.
Do you see how his belly is hanging down? Like it looks like it's almost to his knees. So when I lost my weight and I had my first skin removal surgery, they took 12 pounds of skin off of my stomach. I can't imagine what it's going to be when he finally is ready to have that done. But you could not see my lady bits because I had so much extra skin. So.
And it might not happen off the first, second, or third time, but as you continue, you keep seeing that you're making improvements, whether it's after a week, after a month, or after a year. And even for myself, I had a buddy that was in the ICU recently and had a lot of neurological deficits. And as he was slowly recovering, he would call me each day, upset the fact that he wasn't making progress. And I had to remind him, write down what your deficits are today. Do it next week, do it the following week. And then each time you're upset, look back and see how much you've improved. When you look in every hour by hour, day by day, sometimes it's easy to lose sight of how much you've accomplished, but when you really spread it out and think in scale, which we as humans are not good at doing, you get to see the accomplishment. You get to feel motivated. You get to see that you're making moves in the right direction, even if it's 3 steps forward, 1 step back.
Well, I'm trying to get my license renewed.
This is him now?
Because on the 20th of this month. Because on my other license, I'm huge.
Oh my God, he looks like a different person. Holy crow. So he's talking about his license he's doing his license over. So at the time, my cousin was a deputy sheriff, and we went out to a bar one night, and I handed my ID over, and my cousin looked at him, he's like, if I pulled you over, I would not believe that this was you, and I might detain you until I was able to positively make sure that this was you. You better go get a new ID. I know I have it somewhere. I'm gonna have to find it, but damn, it's so exciting.
Hail. So there we go. That's me. I don't know if you can see that real well. I don't know, but that's me. It's really weird too, because like 2020 Corona is like the worst year of some people's lives. Like it's really been awful for people, but like it's going to go down in the record books as like one of the best years of my life, probably. Life for me is blossoming.
What he's experiencing right now is almost like a form of post-traumatic growth. It's looking back at your accomplishments. There's nostalgia there. And the fact that he's in fact reached his goal. He's in fact improved his quality of life. It goes to show that everything that we discussed in the beginning of this episode, where it comes to extending life and improving quality of life, he's a walking testimonial for. Really proud of him. Check out this video of me taking a career.
So that was super cool, and I got very emotional because I relate and I feel very empathetic towards them. So thanks for watching, you guys. I know this is a little bit longer than normal, but I'll see you in the next one. Bye.